Good afternoon, everybody. It's a great day to be in Sydney. It's only my second visit, but with so much to see in such a beautiful setting. Rest assured, I'll be coming back as often as I can. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this important event. First, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are gathered today, the Gadigal clan of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. IMARC sits at the crossroads of a strategically important region and a strategically important sector. I'm here today to build key relationships, better understand challenges and opportunities, and learn from the industry representatives gathered here. The partnership between the United States and Australia is vital to our collective economic and national security. We have an opportunity to deepen our relationship by working together to realize a secure and diversified critical minerals supply chain. These are truly exciting times. The United States Department of Defense is taking historic steps to mitigate supply chain risk and increase capacity. Through investment in capabilities, technologies, workforce, and infrastructure, we are actively working to de-risk and improve the global supply of critical minerals and strategic materials necessary for economic growth and security. Investing with key partners, such as those here in Australia, offers opportunities to build supply chain resilience by diversifying sources, bringing together producers and suppliers, and promoting sustainable production with strong environmental, social, and labor standards. The security and stability of the Indo-Pacific region remains a top priority for the United States, and that is why we continue to operate, cooperate, and invest in this region. In February of this year, the U.S. Department of Defense published our first ever National Defense Industrial Strategy, which offers a framework to guide the development of a modernized defense industrial ecosystem. Central to this strategy is the emphasis on cooperation and coordination between government, industry, and like-minded nations. You may be aware that the United States is rapidly approaching a presidential election. While for many in government this is a time of uncertainty and transition, for those of us focused on the industrial base, it is simply an opportunity to highlight our work to a new crop of leaders. We don't anticipate significant turmoil, as there is strong bipartisan support across the US government for our efforts, as evidenced by legislation such as the Inflation Reduction Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, and the CHIPS and Science Act, all of which direct the investment of billions of dollars into our industrial base. The National Defense Industrial Strategy identifies 4 key priorities needed to modernize the defense industrial ecosystem over the next 3 to 5 years. These priorities include resilient supply chains, workforce readiness, flexible acquisition, and economic deterrence. We know it will require strong partnership with like-minded nations to achieve each of these priorities, but also know that the United States is not unique in seeking these goals. The U.S. will leverage existing bilateral and multilateral relationships to strengthen partner capabilities, expand production, mitigate vulnerabilities, and reduce reliance on potential choke points in supply chains. Last May, President Biden and Prime Minister Albanese declared climate change and clean energy the third pillar of the alliance by signing the Climate Critical Minerals and Clean Energy Transformation Compact to elevate the importance of critical minerals and clean technologies. This compact laid the framework for deepening cooperation on critical minerals, climate, and clean energy, and led to the successful launch of the US-Australia Critical Minerals Task Force. Through the task force, we have enhanced information sharing on supply chain dynamics, identified key challenges, and focused on projects that present opportunities for growth. We continue to seek opportunities to use domestic financial instruments and incentives to collectively increase investment in critical minerals projects and enhance market transparency. By leveraging our growing economic connections, we can continue to attract commercial lenders and catalyze private investment. Australia and the US are making progress. The US government has backed 2 Australian-listed rare earths projects with up to $850 million of funding for metals needed for the magnets we all rely on for renewable energy and defense capabilities. Additionally, DoD has obligated $128 million of Inflation Reduction Act funding for critical materials in large capacity batteries. Through these investments, and more like them in the future, we can focus on innovation and adjust to meet strategic demands. We can enhance workforce programs and modernize infrastructure and systems. A healthy industrial base can handle risk, be more flexible, more responsive, and ultimately more capable. This is how we lean in and achieve resilience. The U.S. Department of Defense is also making historic investments, particularly in areas like microelectronics, kinetic capabilities, and strategic and critical minerals and materials. The Office of Industrial Base Policy, which I'm representing here today, manages two investment programs, the Defense Production Act and the Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment programs. These programs make targeted investments in supply chains and workforce development and represent the Department of Defense's key investment tools to build and strengthen the defense industrial base. Last year, through these programs, we invested more than $1 billion in critical minerals and materials, castings and forgings, and microelectronics supply chains. In another milestone in U.S.-Australia relations, the U.S. Congress recently adopted legislation expanding the term domestic source to now include Australia and the United Kingdom for purposes of the Defense Production Act. This means we can now make direct investments in Australian, British, Canadian, or American companies that are operating in any of these four nations. This truly monumental development reflects the enduring commitment of the U.S. government to partner with key allies for the long term. And this represents new opportunities for the development, production, and purchase of Australian critical minerals and technologies. By continuing and even enhancing our industrial base collaboration, we will enable even more diverse and resilient supply chains. At Industrial Base Policy, we are executing a 5-year rare earth investment strategy to build mine-to-magnet domestic capacity. Rare earth permanent magnets are essential components in a range of defense capabilities, including the F-35 Lightning II aircraft, Virginia-class submarines, and unmanned aerial vehicles. They are also a critical part of electronic systems in aircraft and microwave technologies and radar systems. Since 2020, DoD has awarded more than $439 million to establish domestic rare earth element supply chains. We are on track to meet our goal of a sustainable mine-to-magnet supply, capable of supporting all U.S. defense requirements by 2027. I am pleased to see many Australian companies already participating in these programs. We awarded Australia-based Lynas, U.S. subsidiary, a combined $288 million in funding to establish a second domestic commercial-scale oxide production capability by 2026. And this is in addition to a 2021 DPA grant worth $30.4 million for Lynas Rare Earths to build a processing facility in Texas. Upon completion of these projects, Lynas will produce approximately 25% of the world's supply of rare earth oxides. To help accelerate investments we make with the Defense Production Act, our office has launched the Defense Industrial Base Consortium and its new Other Transaction Authority contracting mechanism to improve the execution of DPA Title III awards and streamline contracting with the Department of Defense. Since May of this year, the consortium and OTA have been available to companies and organizations from the United States, Australia, the United Kingdom, and Canada, and we have seen a lot of excitement for the opportunities this offers. While we have yet to take advantage of the expanded authorities for Australia and the United Kingdom, rest assured we are motivated to see this happen sooner rather than later. The OTA supports the development of a critical capability from initial basic research through proof of concept, prototyping to full-scale production. Membership in the consortium is free, and there are already more than 900 organizations that have joined. Organizations that join the consortium receive advantaged access to information sharing and networking opportunities with other members and Department of Defense suppliers. We are supporting membership of both domestic and allied partners. We are reaching out to defense suppliers, non-traditional defense contractors, innovative startups, nonprofits, research institutions, and small businesses. We seek to bring traditional and non-traditional organizations together to expand markets and facilitate connection with other consortium members. We have strong engagement and collaboration from the US Department of Defense and stakeholders across the US and Canadian governments, and we are pursuing opportunities with Australian and British organizations and government stakeholders to get involved, collaborate, and network with other consortium members. This will facilitate connections between Department of Defense suppliers and critical minerals producers, including those here in Australia. By bringing together a broad range of producers and suppliers through the consortium, we seek to expand the defense industrial ecosystem to strengthen both commercial partnerships and our collective security interests. The Defense Industrial Base Consortium is truly groundbreaking in its scope and authorities and will streamline the application process for Defense Production Act Title III incentives. Consortium members can now submit ideas via white papers instead of full proposals. Those businesses selected for award then submit more comprehensive cost and technical proposal documentation. It's a low-cost, low-risk process for everyone. I strongly encourage all of you, Australian, Canadian, British, American, critical minerals companies, producers, research institutions, academic institutions, and small businesses to apply for consortium membership and DPA Title III funding opportunities. For more information on the consortium and current and future DPA Title III funding opportunities, please visit our website, dibconsortium.org. That is dibconsortium.org. In closing, I just want to reiterate the strength and importance of a secure and resilient mineral supply chain. It is an imperative not just for national security, but for our shared economic security. We cannot tolerate any single points of failure within our supply chains, not for defense, not for commerce. Ultimately, nobody benefits if any of those supply chains are taken offline. The US-Australia partnership, like so many others on which we rely, is based on common values and a long history of cooperation that leverages our respective strengths. Defense industrial base production, underpinned by a secure supply chain and bringing to bear a strong tradition of innovation, can make all the difference to a nation's security. We all share extensive economic ties. Together, we can work together to build a sustainable economic future that delivers more for our people, our businesses, and our countries. I look forward to building upon our successes, welcoming new members to the Defense Industrial Base Consortium, and engaging with you this week to gain your perspectives on how we can move forward together. Thank you. And before I leave the stage, I've just been asked to remind everyone registered for the US Embassy in Australia meet and greet that we will be meeting at 1:30 in room 3.9 on level 3. Thank you.